Authorities are clamping down on liquor outlets in East London. It comes after the death of 21 teenagers at eNCA Tavern. It's come to light that minors were allowed into the Scenery Park venue. eNCA's Aviwe Mdila is there and joins us now for the latest. Good morning, Aviwe. We understand that you are at the City Hall where the funeral of the 21 teens is supposed to take place. How are preparations coming along?
Yes, the mass funeral expected on Wednesday, the 6th of July, where we're expecting all the 21 teenagers, of course, that tragically passed away just last Sundays in the early hours in what is still a mystery to exactly what led to their deaths. We're expecting then those coffins to be here next on the Wednesday that we're going to, and thereafter then the families can then bury their children as they wish going into the weekend. We do understand the majority of those separate funerals will then happen on the coming Saturday, but officially we've been told, in fact, that these funerals will happen on the Wednesday. It's something that not everyone is happy with. We've been speaking to some of the people in Scenery Park itself, where some of the youth and the youth structure suggest that they wanted those funerals and the preparations to happen in Scenery Park, seeing that this tragic event happened in Scenery Park. But of course, the majority of the 21 teenagers don't even reside in Scenery Park. They went in eNCA Tavern, given that there would be those celebrations that would be happening there. It was advertised on Facebook, and it formed part of what they now call the pens down. But we do understand officially there were a party of DJs that were happening on the day, where then this influx of teenagers went there. It is, of course, questionable as to why there were these teenagers there in the first place. But as we were speaking to the neighbors in the days after the tragic event, it became apparent that eNCA Tavern itself is in majority a place for youngsters. In fact, it's something that the neighbors would tell you, something that the youth structures would tell you, and there is another tavern not far by where it's understood it's a place for the adults. So it's something that the liquor board says that in terms of its capacity, it faces over 1,000 licensed liquor outlets in Buffalo City Metro alone, with only 2 inspectors to go and check up on them. Hence, we're hearing talks of possible checks and inspections that could take place today.
Now, speaking of those possible checks and inspections, we understand that the Deputy Mayor will be coming along today. So what are we expecting to take place? Will she just be checking for licenses with those authorities, or what more? Because a license can be there, but it's really the compliance at night when the Deputy Mayor would not be there that really becomes an issue.
It's a surprise visit, Mfundo, hence we can't give much details into it, but the licensing issue, of course, would be one that would be checked. We understand currently at the moment that the municipality itself is having a meeting. We've been having talks with the liquor inspectors as well, the liquor board, I beg your pardon, who's also travelling towards East London now. The visits will be spontaneous. We understand there are around 1,000 licensed liquor traders and taverns in and around the Buffalo City Metro municipality alone, with those 2 inspectors. So we understand that the BCM is now trying to beef up, especially following these tragic events, beef up the team, going hand in hand with the liquor board in checking whether they're regulated, they're licensed. But of course, as you mentioned, Fundo, these should be happening over the weekend, especially in those hours, to check if they do close in time. For example, as one of the biggest complaints that we've been hearing from neighbors of eNCA Tavern is that they don't close in time. They close at around 5 a.m. Some of the teenagers that we spoke to tell us they don't even close at other times. They just close for the cleaning to happen, then they open once more for the trading to take place. But we do understand, of course, we were there just last week when the liquor board served them a notice of compliance, shutting down the doors of eNCA indefinitely. But we do also understand that there have been criminal charges that have been laid against eNCA Tavern, but that's for specifically selling alcohol to underage teenagers. No criminal charges as yet when it comes to the deaths that happened there, as we do understand investigations are still continuing, Mfundo, but we do know from experts that have told us in confidence that it was chemical poisoning poisoning that happened over there. But now the toxicology lab in Cape Town is trying to identify the exact toxin that led to those deaths, while also another forensic labs in Pretoria is going through the contents of what was being drank, what was been eaten, also Hubley pipes that have just been taken there for further forensic investigation to further determine the exact poison that led to the deaths of these teenagers.
All right, Aviwe, thank you very much for that update. That's senior reporter Aviwe Mdila at the City Hall. I must still say that perhaps the most effective compliance drive would be when some of these liquor outlets are actually operational, which is over the weekend and in the wee hours of the morning, to see if they do in fact close. But